everyone, Paul ISM. Welcome to part 3 of our Revell Chevy Chevelle video build. Before we get going today, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you click the little bell notifications, get notified of all our latest videos. Click the like button and leave a comment. I do read and reply to all the comments and appreciate everybody that takes the time to leave a comment on the channel. And of course, if you scroll up in the description, there's a link to a big long list of all the items I use in my videos. So if you see anything, you should be able to find it in there. Right, so we're back with part 3. We got all the chassis and running gear assembled last time. Today we're going to focus on the interior. Now these are always my weak points. It's the bit I've got the least interest in. I don't know why. And the bit I'm not always as good as I hope I am. So we'll see how this turns out today. We're going to try and do a little bit of carpet effect using some embossing powder. Paint the seats up. We're going for a white and black interior. It's pretty basic, but it looks okay. So we'll make the best of what it is. This was filmed over about 4 or 5 days, so you're going to see all different kinds of footage from everywhere. But it leads us on to our last video then. So there's still a couple of bits to add to the interior once we're done at the end. Still got the gear knob to do. It wasn't de-chromed at the time, it was de-chroming as I was filming. So we'll put that in for part 4. And then we'll come back and we'll get all the body polished up. So we're going to do about the windows. We're going to do bare metal foil or spray them. Or what we're going to do there, I'm not quite sure. We're going to have a look at the polish. The clear coat, and see what we're left behind. We need definition for the bare metal foil, so we'll have a look, see what we've got, and play it by ear with that one. So yeah, we're very nearly done, which is good because it's a beautiful looking car and a beautiful scheme, and I'm really eager to get it finished now. So there we go. So let's jump straight in and get going today. Okay, so we're going to jump straight on to the floor pan. We're going to use some embossing powder, and we're going to add a carpet effect. Now, you can use flocking material if you wish, or the micro balloons. I've used flocking before, it goes everywhere, so we're going to try the embossing powder. So we're going to use the black enamel paint we've got, and we're going to brush paint all where we want the embossing powder to simulate carpet. Let it go tacky for 5 minutes, then pour over the powder, tap off all the excess, and that should leave us with a nice carpet effect. We've got a nice flat Tamiya brush. We've got some black Revell gloss black enamel. Now, matte will be better, but as always, the gloss is always tackier. So we give it a good stir up. Quite liberal. We're going to put a decent coat on. Like I say, everywhere where we want this carpet effect to be. So it's basically the entire floor pan up front. So we don't want to flood it on. We don't want masses of excess paint everywhere, but we're going to make sure we get a nice even coverage all over. So keep loading your brush up. Apply quite liberally. If you get any runs or excess paint, you can use the brush to wipe it back off anyway. Try and avoid the actual seat centers themselves. You don't want to get any flocking around there if we can help it. It's not the end of the world if you do, but it just might make fitting your seat a little bit trickier later on. So once you're happy you've got all the part evenly covered, grab the embossing powder. Now this you can buy from any craft store. Online, you get it on eBay, Amazon, anywhere really that sells crafting materials. It's not that expensive, and you're going to last a long time because hardly any of it goes to waste at all. So we're going to pour it all over the areas we've painted. We'll then give it a shake, turn it over, tap it off, and put the excess back in the tub. So you may need to apply this multiple times. So basically let it dry, reapply the paint, and then you can put the embossing powder over again. But for us, we're going to try and get it done in one go if we can. So once you've tipped it off, check for any places where it's not quite got, and then push it down and just keep working your way around until you're happy you've got even coverage. So as you can see, we've got a nice effect there already. It's looking good. We've got a few areas where it still needs a little bit more, so we'll just keep tapping it. Like I say, you could pour the entire tub on, and you're going to put it all back into the tub once you're done. Hence us doing this on the instructions. Now, I've used the flocking before. It's very good, the actual flocking powder material, which is like fluff, and it does work very well, but it gets everywhere. The last time I used it, I was finding it in my clear coats 6 months later, and I vow from then to never use it again. So sadly I don't use it, but this is a much more viable alternative because this is a powder rather than a fibre, so it doesn't really get airborne, and I think it gives just as good an effect with a lot less mess. So just keep going around till you make sure you got it all covered. And just tap it off. Like I say, if you're not happy, you can reapply it and go over it again. But for me, I think we got most of it here. No problem at all. Just being thorough. And there we go. Tap off the excess. And jobs are good. And there we go. Happy with that. We'll let it dry, see what it looks like. If it needs another coat, we'll give it one. If not, we'll leave it be. So make sure it's fully tapped off. Put it to one side to dry. Then going to put all our unused powder back in its jar. So the enamel paint needs to go out of the way. So put the brush to one side for now. Put the lid back on your paint, because if this spills, you'll know about it. As you can see, it's all over my fingers. And we're going to use the instruction manual to put this back in. Nice and carefully, don't sneeze or cough. Just going to pick it up, put it over the jar, tip it back in, and save it again for next time. Like I say, this will last you for years, a long, long time, because you don't use a lot of it at all. None of it's really wasted. So for me, this is a good alternative. It's available all different colours as well, greys, reds, blues, everything. So you can pick and choose your carpet colours, and it's definitely something I'll be adding more to my collection. So this is dried overnight. And it's not bad at all. It could probably do with another piece at the edge, but another go over at the edge, sorry. But we're not going to see that anyway because the door card's going to go there. So we've got brush cleaner now. We sell this at UMP Retail. It's a glass brush pot full of Mr. Level-In Thinner, and there's a nice thick mesh material at the bottom, which is absolutely fantastic for cleaning your brush. Cleans it in seconds, really easily. Nice and gentle as well. There's no damage on the brush at all. And yeah, you can get that on our website, umpretail.com. It's a great tool, and yeah, one of my favourites at the minute. Makes short work, and like I say, it's not damaging to the brush at all. It's nice and soft, and does a really good job. So I've got one with Mr. Level-In Thinner in there, and one with UMP Cleaner in as well. So we're in the spray booth. We've got Ultimate Black Primer. We've got an Apex 0.35 needle. We're at 30 psi. And we're going to start priming some of our interior parts. So these have all been cleaned up off camera. You've seen me clean up parts many times. All been mounted for spraying on cocktail sticks with various methods you've seen me do before. And we're going to give it a couple of coats of UMP Black Primer. A nice mist one to begin with, and then a thicker one at the end. Now we're going to spray the interior 3 different colours. We're going for cream seats. We're going for black dashboard and trim. And we're going to use some of the texture paint on some of the other interior parts as well. We'll also have some parts of detail paint later on. But for now, we're going to prime everything in black and white. So here we go. We've got our door cards now. Everything's primed. This is the final go over of one of our door cards. So 2 coats of the UMP Black Primer. Once you get that mist coat down, you come back a little bit heavy with your second one. Just make sure you pay attention to all the different angles and recesses, and you'll be just fine. We'll leave this to dry overnight and then come back the next day for paint. So with the seats, I've chosen to do a black and cream interior. So for the cream colour, we're going to prime in UMP White Primer. Same airbrush, same pressure. So we're going to prime everything up. With the white, make sure it's a nice light base coat. Very easy to flood because it's hard to see white, especially on white plastic like this. Just take your time, don't be any rush, just get a nice mist coat down, angle it towards your light and you'll be able to see where it's landing, and just take your time, get a nice even coat. Again, we're going to do 2 coats on this, we're not going mad, and then again, with the other paint, we'll let it dry overnight and come back and hit it with our colours. So like I say, don't go mad, just a really nice mist coat. As you can see, I'm not hosing it on, but we're back now for our second coat. And again, now we just need to make sure we get nice even coverage all around. Paying attention to everywhere really. We're mounted on a cocktail stick by some white tack, as you can see. Probably the easiest way of doing things. If there's a hole, put a cocktail stick in there. If not, use blue tack, white tack, preferably white tack as it's oil free, or mount it with clips or CA glue if needed. So give the airbrush a quick clean. We're on the next day now. We've got Tamiya LP39. It's a lacquer racing white, which is an off-white. We've thinned it 70-30, 70% thinner to paint with the Tamiya lacquer thinner with retarder. And we're going to give all this a paint up. So we've got the UMP Apex 0.35 again. We're at 18 PSI now, and we're going to give this a couple of light coats. So we'll lacquer paint now, so it's a bit more forgiving on the coats. You can put it down a bit heavier, you can paint it a lot faster, but still on your first coat, don't go too heavy. Just get it down a nice even coat. Switch between the parts, and by the time you finish the last one, the first one will be ready for another coat. It does dry really quick. That is the beauty of lacquer paint. Dries super quick. Now, I've chosen off-white colour because I didn't want it bright white. I've also had a bit of a plan with the panel line wash. Because we get a semi-gloss finish of the lacquers, my plan is to put a panel line wash in all those recesses in black, brush it all over, wipe it off, and hopefully leave a little bit of kind of staining behind on the seat. I've done it before, but never on white, so we're going to see what that looks like in a little bit. Once this back seat's painted and dried as well, we're going to have to mask off that rear partial shelf and spray it in the texture paint, which we're going to use in a little bit. So again, nice thin coats, build it up, and you'll start to see that beautiful off-white colour to start to appear. So I was a little bit stuck on the interior. I wasn't 100% sure. I was chatting to the guys in the hangout the other night, and one of them, Jason, suggested black and white, and I thought, you know what, that'll look pretty good. So let's do that. So the rest of the interior will be black, the seats are going to be on off-white, and that's what we're going for. Whether it's right for the car, I don't know, but I'm happy with the colour, and we'll see what it looks like when it's all together. So yeah, second coat now. That's coming along well. So at the end of our second coat, I'm quite happy how that looks. Not used a lot of paint. And it's going down really nice. So I'm not sure on the Chevys what colour the interior should be. I'm guessing you could pick a lot of colours from the factory. If you know, shout out in the comments down below. But for me, I always change something. I never always follow the rules or the instructions. So it's just one of those. So we've got Tamiya LP5 semi-gloss black. Painting up the rest of the parts. So we're on our second coat here. We've gone around and done all the parts already. So anything that isn't going to be done on the texture paint and is black is getting a couple of coats of the LP5. By far my favourite semi-gloss black. It's a fantastic colour. Lays down really smooth, dries super quick. Very forgiving paints. And yeah, I love the Tamiya LP range of paints. And again, you can get these from myself and Lee at umpretail.com. Now, we've got some of the Zero Paint Texture Black paint. And we're going to apply one coat. Making sure we get nice and even. And what this is, it's a paint with texture to it. So I'm not sure 100% what's in it, but it leaves a textured finish behind. It's ideal for dashboards and door cards and etc. Just adds a little bit of tonal variation and a bit of depth to what we're painting, and takes away from a little bit of the drabness of it all. So they're all painted up. We've now got our panel liner. Everything's dried overnight. Here's our freshly painted seat. So look at the colour now. You'll see a difference at the ends. I will compare them. But we're going to put the enamel panel line wash in all the recesses of the seat. As you can see, the capillary action will carry it around to a degree, but we'll help it along in a bit as well. So we're going to pop it in, get all the recesses filled. Then we're going to grab a large flat brush, be the same one we used for the embossing powder earlier. Wipe the panel line wash all over the seat. So we'll leave the wash in the seat, but we'll also spread it around onto the paintwork. And I'm hoping if I just wipe it off with no thinner. Hopefully no thinner will be needed. It'll leave a nice stained effect behind. So there we go. We're just going around getting the final coats all done. Getting all the edges as well. It's a very good wash, the panel line wash. Sadly not easily available in the UK. You can get them online, but with shipping restrictions at the minute, it might prove a bit hard. So we've got our flat brush now. There's nothing on here. We're just using the panel line wash itself, and we're just taking it up. So it goes all over the paintwork. And then once we're happy, we've got the majority out. Grab a clean piece of kitchen roll and wipe it off. Now this is going to leave the wash in the panel lines. And it's also going to stain our seats a touch as well. So there we go. You see on the bottom part there, that's the kind of look I'm looking for. So if you catch this before the wash dries, you shouldn't need any mineral spirits to get the rest off. And it's done exactly as I thought. It's left a nice effect behind. It's taken away that newness of the seat. It's had a little bit of depth. If there's any excess there, get your brush and just wipe it off. We don't want to take it all off, but we want it to look even all over. So if you're not happy, go all over it again. And there we go. We'll grab our kitchen paper again. Just give it a rub over. What we're looking for is evenness. We want to look all even all over. If there's any recesses you can't get to, use a cotton bud like so. So I'm very happy with that effect. That adds depth, adds a little bit of interest, and if we add an unwashed seat, you can see it's just darking that white a bit and just gives it a bit more depth and a bit more interest. So next day, like I said, this was filmed over about 5 days, letting things dry and working on different things. I've got about 4 models on the go at the minute, so picking away at this. Our texture paint's now dried. So we can start assembling some of our other parts. Got some detail painting to do here and there. So we've got some Revell silver. We're just going to do our lock, our start key. What's the word I'm looking for? Our ignition. That's the word I'm looking for. And then we'll do our window winders as well on our door cards. This Vallejo Model Air silver is very good for brush painting. It's already thin enough. Doesn't need thin at all. The coverage is really well. And yeah, it's definitely one of my go-to metallic paints for brush painting. Like I say, just some careful time, a little bit of detail to this. I did try putting a bit of a wash in there. It didn't like it at all. It looked a bit odd. I added a grey wash and it just looked odd in there. It really did. So I took it out, removed it, and we just carried on regardless without it. You could dry brush it to add a little bit of depth, but again, you've got to be careful you don't overdo it. For me, I'm happy to leave it as is. It's a look how I want it. If it was a new car, that's kind of how they'd look anyway. So once we get all these parts painted up, we can leave them to one side to dry for a little bit. Then we can start assembly on the rest of the interior. As you can see, we've got the other 2 seats done on there as well. A little bit of CA glue. So we've got the thicker Perfect pen from Loctite. Going to apply generous bead all around that seat. Don't forget we avoided it with the embossing powder, so we should stick down no problem at all. There we go. I do like this Loctite pen. It's expensive. For 3 grams of CA glue, it is quite expensive. But I like the thickness of the gel. It dries nice and quick. Does the job really, really well. And again, we're not putting tons of it down. We don't need a lot. But most of all, avoiding the seat area before we put the enamel paint down helps a lot. Because the seat actually sticks to the plastic and not to the embossing powder. Of which then you've got a risk of it pulling off. But I'm happy how the embossing powder looks. It does give a good effect. I would say flocking does look better. But for me, to get rid of the risk of that stuff being all over my modelling cave is, yeah, it's worth avoiding in my opinion. So I'm going to pick up a few more bottles of embossing powder in different colours. And it'll probably be something I do in all my car builds now. Rear seat, we're going to apply to the seat because I'm not 100% sure where it locates on the back. So again, generous speed without being overzealous. Again, when you're using CA glue, whenever you change positions with your fingers or whatever, give your finger a wipe. If you've got any CA glue, you'll notice you'll get rid of it rather than sticking yourself to your seat and ruining all your hard work. Been there, done it, got the glue prints for sure. So a little bit of CA glue on the front, we get our pedal box, well, pedals in. So a bit of careful positioning. Oh, see, stuck to your finger a little bit. Thankfully not with glue. So just take your time. So if you don't get a position with your finger, grab your tweezers. Once you're happy with the position, leave it be and let the glue dry. Or use an accelerator if you want. Always use the accelerator on a brush or something else. Don't spray it on because, again, it doesn't like paintwork and it will ruin all your hard work. So, center console now. Now, like I say, the gear lever was missing. It was actually dechroming at the time and needed spray, and I'd actually forgotten on the day of filming. So we'll add that in for part 4. So again, a generous bead of CA glue. We're going to have to stick this to the flocking this time. But it goes down fine, it's no problem at all. Make sure you get it the right way. Avoid your seats, don't get CA glue all over your seats. Lay it in place and just give it a good firm push into place and then let the glue do its job. And there we go. Next up is a door card. Again, being quite liberal here. I like to be quite liberal on the door cards, put it in place, get it where you want it, and then wipe off the excess from the outside. Now, this to me is always the part where you're going to get glue all over your fingers. So my best advice is get it in place, stay well away from the glue, push it home. Once you're happy it's there, get a cotton bud, wipe off all the excess glue from underneath, and then put it to one side till it's fully dry. Because trust me, you will pick up some excess glue. Or, as on the back you can see, there's a nice sort of blob of enamel paint from when we were doing the flocking. So again, time taken is well worth it. Luckily that part can't be seen. But that was a part that could be seen on the vehicle. That'd be a bit devastating because it definitely ruins your hard work. So take your time. I know a few people have commented on that lately about me mentioning take your time to remember what they're doing things. It is, and it's hard to do. At this kind of stage later on in the build, you're excited to get it finished and eager because, you know, you start to see it coming together and think, oh, I'm nearly there. So you can start to rush and cut corners, and it's just not worth it at all. Just take your time. Go nice and slow and methodical. And just try and reduce the amount of mistakes you make. It's easier said than done. But trust me, get it in place, get a cotton bud, and just quickly run it down the edge. It'll grab all the excess CA glue. As you can see, it stops you going all over your fingers. Always check and give your fingers a rub before you're done. So, dashboard now. I'm just going to see how this locates. So it goes over the edge of each door card, so a little dab of CA glue on each side. Make sure it's in the right place, check your orientation, check where it locates, and just pop it in place. Make sure you get it to the right angle, push it home, and again, leave it to one side to dry. So I'm happy with that interior. Like I say, it's minimalistic, it's pretty basic. There's a couple of decals to go on, which I can still get in there, it's no problem at all. And here we go, there's the chassis underneath with the engine in place as well. All interior in. For now, we've got a gear knob to add, some decals to add in there. But for now, that is where we're at. So happy with that. It's gone together really well. It's pretty well detailed. It's not too bad at all. It's fitted together really well. I have no complaints about this kit at all. And like I say, we'll come back in part 4 and get this all finished. Okay, there we go. That's where we're up to. Interior looks okay. It could be better. It could be worse. It's alright. I'm happy with how it is. It is what it is at the end of the day. So yeah, but it leads us on to the next final part now. We can get this finished, another video build off the way, and then look at what we're going to do next and where we're going to go from there. I've got a bench update to do in a couple of days, or maybe even tomorrow. which will show my current build, so make sure to tune in for that. And as I've said, every day we're doing live feeds as much as possible, once or twice a day. Obviously it's Friday today, so we've got a live show tonight, to keep people entertained and distracted from the horrors of the world at the minute. So we've been going live in our Off Air Hangouts, which has proved fun, and we're getting a lot of interest and a lot of opinions, which is good. Everyone seems to be liking it. I appreciate everyone that watches, that comments, at least comments after, and yeah, they'll continue for the foreseeable future. So there we are. So if you enjoyed the video today, as always, any comments, pop them down below. Make sure you thumbs up the video, you subscribe to the channel, and click that little bell notification, you get notified of all our latest videos. Of course, check out the International Scale Model Facebook page and forum, umpretail.com. We are still open, we work from home, everything is here, so we can post out no problem at all, and we will post out for as long as we can. We're going to change some postage rates. We're not using the post office anymore because it's probably going to shut at some point over the next coming week. So everything's going by courier now. It has upped the cost to overseas a touch. The UK stayed the same. But the plus side is you'll get your parcel quicker. So silver cloud and all that. Every cloud, sorry. So yeah, that's that. Make sure you check out my Paul ISM Facebook page where my modelling work is shared. The live at the bench page for all the live show info, and the Off Air Hangout group as well. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you all next time. Take care. Bye bye.